Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Joy here. It's good to have you back. Just a quick story. I've been trying to shoot this particular video. This is the third attempt. The first two attempts were futile because my microphone just stopped working, and I'm doing this for the third time. And this is because this is one of the most highly requested video from 2023, and I cannot go past this month without shooting this particular video for you guys. So guys, because of all the effort I'm putting in, do not forget to like, subscribe, share this video, make this video go viral for my sake, okay? So today we're going to be talking about the cost of migrating to Australia from Nigeria or Africa, okay? We're going to be talking about everything. I'm going to break down all the costs, every single one of them, all right? So without further ado, let's jump right in. So the first thing on my list, or the first thing to do when looking to migrate, is to choose a route, okay? There are different ways to migrate to Australia. Is that you're coming as a student, a skilled worker, a tourist, a visitor visa? There are different ways, okay? If you're migrating, for example, if you're migrating as a student, the first thing to do is to know your route, okay? And that will help you know how much is involved, the total cost. So now I'm going to be sharing with you my own experience migrating as a student to Australia, okay? So after we decided that we're going to go through school, the next thing was to get an agent. Now, getting an agent is not free. If you're in Nigeria, you already know what I'm talking about. As of 2019, when I migrated, it was 150 to 180,000. At the moment, it's about 200 to 250,000 for you to get an agent. And this fee comprises of the agency fee for applying for admission, applying for visa, and following up with the school back and forth, and every other thing they need to do with migration. This does not include visa application fee. Sometimes they would include it, but if they're going to charge you 250, I don't think it's going to be inclusive, okay? Because I have some of my friends who their agent charged them 500,000 naira and it included everything. So it depends on the package. So the thing to do, I think the best thing to do is to ask your agent how much they're charging and what that cost comprises of, so that you're not expecting something else and at the end of the day they disappoint you or something like that, okay? So ask them how much they're charging, ask them what their fee is and what that fee comprises of, okay? And so after getting an agent, the next thing you want to do is to prepare your proof of funds. This is where it gets tricky, guys, because the Australian requirement for proof of fund changes almost all the time. As of 2019, we're required to get 20 million for one person. So you have to have 20 million in your bank account, sitting pretty in your bank account. This is not to say that maybe when you want to travel you just go and carry 20 million and just dump there. No, they want to see that there is a progressive increase in the money. Is either you're putting in gradually and it sums up to 20 million, or there is a transaction, there's frequent transaction going on. They want to see that money comes and goes. It's not just a dormant account where you just put 20 million there, okay? So that is what they want to see. They want to see the inflow and outflow of money, okay? So I'm sharing my experience with you guys so you know what fits or what category you fall under and how to help yourself, okay? So at the time, we did not have 20 million naira sitting in our account because obviously, I mean, we had a lot going on for us at the time. This was 2019. So what we did was we took the money we had, the sum total of what we had, I think about 10 million, and we put it in my brother's account. So my brother shares the same name as myself, and this is one thing I would like to also talk about: the ability for you to be able to use a bank statement or a bank account that has similar name as yourself. In most cases it is applicable, but some other times they really do not, they may not, you know, look at it, okay? So what we did was to take the 10 million we had and put it in my brother's account as the sponsor, because we used him as my sponsor, okay? And what they want to see is that your sponsor is the one paying the fees. I don't know if the system has changed right now, but that is how it is, okay? They want to see that the sponsor is the one, you know, paying, because obviously that's why he or she is called a sponsor, okay? So we put the money in my brother's account, and it was from that account that we were making all the expenses. So school fees, visa fee, that was the account we're using to make all that payment, okay? So at this point, it is worthy of note to state that with the proof of funds, they want to see that whoever is your sponsor, whoever you're using, or whatever account you're using for that proof of fund, is either your account or the account of somebody that is related to you, either bearing the same name. Okay, so I know that if the person bears the same name, it gives you better advantage of getting visa, because then they know that it's authentic, it's not fake, you're not faking it, you know what I mean? So we use my brother because we share the same surname. At the time I hadn't changed my surname, so we're still bearing the same surname, so it was easy for me to say, oh, he's the one sponsoring me, okay? He gave me all the necessary support I needed, and that was just easy. It was easy for the agent to just say, okay, they bear the same surname, he's the one sponsoring, you know, and so it was pretty much smooth. But in the case where you know that you don't have a sponsor bearing your surname, or you don't have such amount of money, I know that there are certain loan companies that loan out money for a certain amount of time for a fee. So say six months, you pay them 1 million naira for the money to be in your account, I think in a fixed account where you cannot even have access to it, but it's going to be for the time period where you have to, you know, do your visa processing and get the visa. And once you get the visa, they take their money, but you have to pay them 1 million or 1.5. I don't know how much it is right now, but yeah, I know it's a thing. So that is also something to consider if you know you don't have a sponsor, or you don't have such amount of money, because the proof of fund is one of the most important aspects of this whole process. Okay, they want to see that you have enough money to be able to come into their country, to stay and to do things. Okay, especially if you're coming as a student, they want to see that you've planned out your entire school fees for the duration of your period here in Australia. Okay, so even though we know that it's not, you know, that's not what it's not going to be like that, or we know that we're going to come here and work and do this and do that, they just want to see that you have that money and you're not going to come to their country and be a liability to them, if that makes sense. Okay, so the next point I want to talk about is the time frame. Okay, the time frame between when we started the process and when we got the visa. So we started the process in May 2019, and I got my visa October 2019. If you look at it, it's almost, I think, 6 months plus. And that, some people tell you that that's like the fastest one they've heard, or that's like even they've gotten there shorter. Everybody's case is different, everybody's timeline is different. Okay, there is no specific timeline as to how long it would take for you to process your visa. Now, the reason why mine was like that was because in May, when I got admission, I had to defer my admission because the plan was to go in July, but somehow we couldn't sum things up together. We couldn't get everything sorted before July. So when I was giving my admission, I had to defer for the October intake. So the university I attended, they had the third trimester, which is the October, so I was able to defer. So that was why I said the process started in May. So if you're, for example, you're looking to do an October intake or a July intake, roughly takes 3 months or 4 months admission. From the admission, the next thing was to go ahead to accept the offer and then pay the school fees. So accepting the offer is free, you don't have to pay anything. But then the school fees at the time, because I studied Masters of International Business, it was $15 per semester, which summed up to $60,000 for the 2-year program. Okay, so my program is split to 2 years, 2 semesters a year. So each semester I had to pay $15,000 for school fees, and that was $60,000 in total. And plus additional 1,500 for health cover. So for the health cover, you have to pay everything. There's no installmental payment. You have to pay upfront even before you come into Australia. So then I had to pay the $15,000 plus the 1.5 for the school fees. At the time, it was 6.1 million. I'm going to put all the prices in the just up here, just so that you can see everything. It was 6.1 million. The exchange rate at the time made it 6.1. At this present day and time, I don't know how much it's going to be, because you know exchange rate is not cheap, it's nobody's mate. Okay, so that was how much we paid at the time. Also, you need to know that the school fees vary according to schools, according to semesters. So this semester it can be higher, it can be lower. A friend of mine that came in recently said she's studying the same course and she's paying 16,500. okay, while some other person who is doing a different course will pay less. So it varies according to your course as well. So a person who is doing social work and a person who is doing business or nursing is likely not to pay the same thing. Okay, and also a person who is doing master's degree and undergraduates would definitely not pay the same thing. Likewise, someone who is doing PhD. So your level, your cost, everything is a determinant to how much your school fees will sum up to. All right, so for the school fees, we use the black market because that was what was cheap for us at the time. Because to be honest, at that time we're looking for anything that will just be cheap. We don't want stories that touch the heart. Okay, we wanted cheap things. Anyway, yeah, so black market was affordable for us at the time, and that was what went ahead. After we paid the school fees, the school gave us a COE. It's called confirmation of enrollment, which now helped us apply for visa, because you cannot apply for a visa without a COE. So we applied for our visa. The visa fee we paid at the time was 250,000 naira. That was how much I paid, 250,000 naira. Again, like I said, you cannot compare that year with this year. You need to do your finding, ask your agent how much the current price is, or better still, you can even go to the Australian websites. I'm going to add all the links in my description, so you can just go there. It's the official Australian website, so it will help you navigate through and answer some of your questions. Okay, so yeah, that was how much we paid at the time. So after we paid, our application was pending, because here in Australia, for your application to be complete, you have to do your medicals and biometrics. Okay, so we went ahead to do my medicals. I did it in one doctor, I don't remember the doctor's name. I'll put it here if I remember. They have one in VI and Ikeja, I think. They have one in VI and Ikeja. So went to the one in VI, and the total cost for me at the time was 55,000 naira. That was how much I paid for the medical and everything. So usually they will do your blood, they'll check everything. If you're pregnant, you need to tell them you're pregnant, because they will do an x-ray. They will need to check all your vitals. So it's at this point it gets tricky, because how it's done is by the time they check everything and you're okay, they will send your results straight to the Australian migration. Okay, but if you're not okay, if there's something wrong, they'll call you to and they'll tell you to maybe come back 3 months later or 6 months later to retake the medicals. What that now means is that your application is pending. Okay, what that means, everything is halted. Okay, and I'm sure nobody prays for that, but that's something I just wanted to chip in there. Okay, so after the medicals, we went ahead to do the biometrics. The biometrics cost me 11,500 at the time, and I did it also on the island. I do not remember where now, but in that place is like a place where all the top countries, the Australia, UK, Canada, US, that's where they do their biometrics. Okay, if I remember again, I'll put the address maybe here. But yeah, so that was that. So immediately we did the medicals and biometrics, the application was complete, and then the visa processing time started counting. So usually in Australia it takes about 4 to 6 weeks. Sometimes it takes longer. There's no time frames to these things, because the Australian system changes all the time. If you're applying for visa in a semester that is really choked, for example, the February and the July intakes are always so full, because everyone wants to come in the first and second trimester. I came in the third trimester, which was the October. So not all schools have October intakes. So it was an advantage for me, because the queue was quite short at the time. So my visa took 4 weeks. But if you're coming in the July or February intake, it can take 6 weeks, it can take 8 weeks. My brother's own took almost 2 months and to come out, which is over 8 weeks. Okay, so there's no time frame to these things. The time in which you're coming to Australia will determine the pile or the wait list they have, would also determine how soon they get to attend to your application as well. Yeah, so we got that sorted, and that was out of the way. So we're just waiting for the visa. So while we were waiting for the visa, the next thing we did was to talk about accommodation. If you've watched my previous videos, you'll hear me say time and time again that when I was coming to Australia, I didn't know anybody, not even the rat on the streets. I was not, in fact, I did not know anybody at all. It was such a struggle for us to determine where I was going to stay. So there are different options. Okay, there are different options as to where to stay when you come to Australia. The first one would be to contact your school, which was what I did at the time. My agent contacted the school to say, oh, my sense is coming, she doesn't have a place to stay, what are your accommodation options? So they gave us their accommodation options, and boy, it wasn't cheap at the time. Okay, so we're looking at just maybe staying there for a couple of weeks while I get my feet. But thankfully, one of the students my agent had done her visa in the past lives here in this state, so it was easy for her to just say, okay, she can come in and stay for a couple of weeks. So I was still paying my rent, mind you. It wasn't free, but at least I didn't have to pay that much. Okay, so the first option would be to contact the school. You can call the school and tell them this is the situation, how much is it, and that can be a good one, because the package it comes with is actually very nice. They won't come to pick you from the airport, give you VIP treatment. You see, that's why it's expensive. Anyway, that's the first option. The second option will be to get an Airbnb, where you get to look and see which one suits you, and you just get to stay there for a couple of weeks, pending when you find your feet. Okay, the third one would be to go to Flatmates. Now, this is not a sponsored ad by Flatmates, but I just like to talk about it because it really helped some of my friends when they came here. So Flatmates is typically an app where you go to find people who are looking for housemates or people who are looking for houses themselves, you know. So you go there, you see people who have 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 4-bedrooms, who are looking for someone to occupy maybe a room or two, and you get to pay. So I know the prices are within 150 to 300, 400. Some of them come with full bills included. Some of them you have to pay the house bills separately, and some of them come with like 6 months stay, 1 year stay, depending on what the package is. But it's something definitely worth looking at if you're looking to migrate to Australia. Okay, so after we sorted the accommodations, shortly after my visa came out, guys, that was like the best feeling of that year. I can't even lie to you. I was so happy, I was so excited. So when the visa came out, it came out with a condition. So because my visa came out late, it came out the week of my resumption, we got an email from the school saying that I had to come in less than 4 days, else my admission will be terminated. And what that consequently means is that my visa would be, you know, questioned. So we had to take the next available flight. So I had to get on the flight the next Monday. Remember I said my visa came out on a Friday and I had to be on the flight the Monday. So I had little or no time to even plan, to arrange myself, to think, to process. Everything was just happening at the same time. Okay, so my agent went online to check what flights are available, and we're seeing 1 million, 1.5, 2 million, and it was crazy. The cheapest one we saw, I think it was 750k. God. And that one had over 18-hour layover. Imagine going on a flight that has 18-hour layover between the first and the second. So after the first flight, you have to stay 18 hours before you go on the second flight. That was like the longest journey of my life. And mind you, Australia is not very close to Nigeria, if you already know, like compared to Canada, UK, that you go maybe 8 hours flight, 10 hours, 15 hours, max 20 hours flight. I don't even think there's a flight from Canada to Nigeria or UK or US that is 20 hours. Okay, but mine was 48 hours because of the layover. So the layover made it so long and it was really tiring. So that is something to consider. If you have money, if you have enough time as well, if you have time, it's better you book ahead of time. If you have enough money, you can take the Emirates one. Okay, so but at the time we didn't have enough, so that was the one I went with. So I needed you guys to start calculating from the beginning. Remember I said agency fees the beginning. Start calculating every single amount I spent. Okay, and then just that will give you a rough estimate of what to prepare your mind with. Okay, so you need to prepare yourself. I say this all the time. One thing about traveling is planning. So like I said, only me, one person, paid 750,000. Imagine you're traveling as a family of maybe family of 3, 4, 5, 6. You have to times that amount. Okay, this is to say that one thing about traveling is you don't just wake up one morning and pack your bag and say you're traveling. It takes a lot of time to plan, to strategize, to put things in place. Okay, it is not a 1 week journey, it's not a 1 month journey. You know, some people even save and work towards it for like a year before they start the process, and this is advisable because you don't want to start your journey and end halfway because you don't have money, or they've given you visa, you don't have money for flights, they've given you admission, you don't have money for school fees. You know, you don't want to be in that category. So the best thing would be to plan yourself in a way that you're not sorry at the end of the day. Okay, so after we settled the flight ticket, the next thing was to worry about pocket money, guys. I don't know if people say this enough, but pocket money is as important as anything else. Guys, pocket money is so important, okay? Because you're not going to eat chaff. It's food you eat, and it's money you need to buy food. You're not going to sleep on the streets. You need house over your head. And here in Australia, nobody's going to house you for free, except maybe that person knows you from home. You know, that way you have soft landing, you have benefits. But if you don't know anybody like myself that didn't know anybody, you have to come with money. Okay, at the time my husband gave me 1 million naira and my brother gave me 1 million naira, which summed up to 2 million, and that was what I came in with. And even then, 72 million didn't last up to a month. It did not last up to a month, guys. I was legit struggling at some point because I was desperately wanting to get a house, you know, to settle so that I don't have to run out of money. Okay, and you know one thing about this jackpot thing, the person in Nigeria that is sending you 1 million, to them they are sending you their whole life savings, but you are saying, this money, when you convert it, it's nothing, it's not substantial, you know. So you need money to sustain yourself pending when you get a job. For me, I got a job 1 month after I arrived, but that was like factory jobs, okay. And then after the second month, I got a very good job, which was the beginning of great and mighty things for me, all thanks to God, because God has been really, really faithful. But yeah, sometimes it takes 3 months, 4 months. There's no time frame as to when you get a job and settle, so you need to come with some money that will sustain you pending when you find your feet. All right. So the last thing I want to talk about is involving God. I think I should have even put this at the number 1, but nothing spoiled, okay. I do not think it is possible to plan this whole process without God in the middle. Call me a preacher, call me a Jesus baby, that's what I am. So, but what I'm trying to say is you need to put God at the forefront. A lot of people start this process, they don't proceed. A lot of people come, like, things go wrong, okay. Things go wrong. I remember then I used to pray to God that he should send me my destiny helper, somebody that would locate me, that will help me the moment I step my foot. I kept praying over the land, the soil of Australia, that was going to favor me, favor my family, you know. So this is something to, you know, put in practice. You need to pray about everything. Me, I pray about every single thing, let alone go into a foreign land where you don't even know anybody, you know. So it's something to come. The whole process is something worth committing into God's hands, just so that at the end of the day you're not sorry, or at the end of the day you're not making the worst mistake of your life, okay. Thank you guys for watching my video. I know this video is long. If you noticed in between this video, you see that there was a breach in the view. That's because, I don't know, a lot happened. There have been factors fighting this video from coming up, but I've been doing everything to make sure this video gets to you. So the only way to appreciate me, the only way to say thank you, the only way to support me is to subscribe, like, share, be a part of this community, guys. Be a part of this community. Share to your loved ones. Someone needs this video. Someone who is planning to migrate, even if it's not Australia, anywhere you are trying to jackpot to. All these factors are applicable. All of them are applicable. So do want to share to your friends, okay? Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, bye.